So I don't have the amount of subscribers that SETandKEYmedia has, and these guys would expect that everybody in here from this very interesting poll that they have put up is going to believe that Trump is going to win. Now, why would I even waste my time trying to talk to them when they're doing a live stream and they're basically on the side of trying to disprove the fact that Trump is not fit to be the president? And their main source that I just watched, even though that wasn't covered in this video, was the fact that it's true. Trump's words in all of past times that a lot of Democrats and even some Republicans in some regards have talked down on have been misleading. Donald Trump did not incite a full-on insurrection, because what happened at the Capitol was a riot that got out of control. And even though they say in here that no officers died, that's a lie. There were officers who died. There was testimony at the Capitol. That's truth. The people who showed up at the Capitol, it's already been proven. We've seen it time and time again. There's no reason to inflame and upset people. And what this channel's doing, I respect the fact, as they've just now apparently reached 2,000 viewers, 206 likes. They have a right to vote who they want to vote for. Everyone who wants to vote for Trump, that's their choice. I have a sensible reason why I've turned to Kamala Harris. It's not because I hate Trump. The whole rhetoric this entire channel has even talked about is that far right-wing cult-like talk. If you hate Trump, if you think Trump's a criminal, if you think he's incited an insurrection, if you think he's going to take Medicare away from seniors on day one, if you think he's going to become a dictator and run the entire country like a dictator, if you think that his actions during the insurrection that occurred at the Capitol were not unpresidential or weren't presidential or whatever those categories. And you know what? I have a lot of respect for what they're saying. They have a right to speak their minds. But on the contrary, the future is nothing without the present. And at the rate we're going, this channel is supporting an old format of politics. I don't aim to be viral because I'm trying to prove that I'm better or smarter than this channel. I'm just a small little tiny channel on YouTube. I care more about human stories, human interest stories. And from what I've learned recently, a most disturbing fact I already suspected, Trump's a little too friendly with Vladimir Putin. And Putin thinks Trump's an absolute idiot. It's a fact. Even when Putin and Trump shook hands, it's been scientifically proven psychologically that Putin could read everything of Trump's actions during that first meeting. He smiled, he smirked. Putin has worked against the interests of the United States for a long time. Russia has been against the interests of a lot of different countries throughout all the years. They've waged war and acted like a bully just like the United States, except Russia's still on doing this onslaught of hypocritical acts, and most of us don't even know what's going on. In fact, this channel doesn't even know most of what Russia's doing. They're only focusing on letting Trump talk during his speech, which is what he's doing. And you can see the comments. You can see the comments, you can see the voting. I chose Kamala, and what do I get? I get that 73% of people specifically want Donald Trump, but only 27% want Kamala. And what's interesting about that is, even if I had chosen Donald Trump, I would have just been lying to myself. And why would I lie? A lot of people that want to make their choice, which I can disprove here whether or not these people are telling the truth or they're telling lies, is the fact that you're still talking about somebody who enriches himself off of the circling media to create more toxic drama and fictional stories to keep building his entire name around. Donald Trump was a trust fund baby who got $1 million from his daddy. He went and schemed himself and made money and profits all throughout his entire life. It's proven that he's already turned the entire city of New York against him. And how can you turn the Big Apple, let alone the entire state of New York, which was actually honorably mentioned to voting for Republican governors in the past, and suddenly out of the blue, Donald Trump, a known Democrat, which a lot of people don't know this. I know this. He was a known Democrat in the late 90s. He actually was confessing in a 90s interview he has always been a diehard Democrat. Oh, and then lo and behold, you have him coming up and essentially, turning to the Republican Party when he could realize that the American politics and the paramount moment from George Bush's era and the conflict in the Middle East and where America was involved with terrorist organizations. We've been so sick and tired of being a torn, ripped apart country from terrorism and fear, the housing market in 2008. You think Donald Trump did anything nice for people during 2008, or do you think he just made a load of money? Do you think he cared about Wall Street and the little guys who got screwed along the way as he made himself rich? Do you think he contributed his life legacy to speaking for the little man? His entire interest has proven he's only about himself. And it doesn't matter whether or not we can prove if he's only interested in helping the rich or the poor. It's proven his past track history has nothing of any interest in helping anybody but himself. He tells lies, and he tells the only face value that we see because he's a Gemini. That's not anything personal. I had a mother who was a Gemini, and quite frankly, it's not the fact that someone tells the face of being a Gemini who has two faces. It's their conduct and action that shows what their real colors are. My mother was a powerful, strong woman, lesbian, raised me from a little baby, from a family of which I was raised up from, where I got adopted at a very young age. And the saddest reality of what this is coming down to in our country is a reckless division, still pushing the same old nonsense of what's going on. Meaning, we hate the left, we talk against the right, we divide our country up, we spread lies about each other, we divide one another. This is the real truth about what's going on right now. We have a present situation right now that's paramount in our future, where we have countries working against us every day, and the main paradox focus that this country is spread around between this far right side, which I'm not saying these guys are specifically far right, but they're pushing a lot of far right agenda messages from sources that claim to be completely honest and true about Donald Trump and breaking down the honest truth about it. It's not the truth. The truth is, the fact of the matter is, we're not talking about January 6th anymore and blaming Trump for an insurrection, whether it did or didn't happen. I know for a fact it was a violent riot that got out of control. There were a lot of proud Trump supporters there, and only the worst of the worst got caught. Those who answered for their crimes answered for them honestly. But you know what? From that day, it showed a true inflammation of a serious problem we have in our country that we just keep denying is happening. And to vote for Trump again is to just entice the blind numbingness of that. The fact we think he's really going to make any difference other than run what he did the last time out of 4 years, run a campaign for 4 more years. We don't want to see him getting up on stage every day, running on these rants and droning on and rambling about big promises and big dreams and big hopes when we already know he doesn't know anything about politics. And the only reason why he got into politics was because he got butthurt because Barack Obama burned him at a roast. It is the saddest excuse of the tiniest little man who pursued his entire life out of money and his own entitlement. It's not a matter of hate, it's a matter of truth. Our children, our generation, our presence, our present day, our presence as a community, as a whole, black, white, African American. I don't just say blacks or African Americans specifically. I meant to say exactly what I'll say. I'll back myself up there. Correct me if I'm wrong. I take full responsibility for using the term black. A black person can take it however they want to, but I'll be honest with you. I've had more African American friends, more black friends than I've had white friends. Okay, I respect African Americans. I respect black people more than they've ever shown respect for me. And quite frankly, I wish I had more African American, aka black friends, to have parties with, to go out and have fun with and chill with. Heck, I even made 2 friends at a plasma donation center just the other day, and we went vibing, and the guys are a little younger than me, and I clicked with them right away. And they're 2 younger African American guys that smoke a bunch of weed and drink a shitload of booze. Excuse my S word. But you know what the fact is? The fact is that we're tired of seeing the same old rhetoric. We want a future of hope and change. And in case you don't know, Donald Trump, with his favoritism and love for these dictators, whether it's true or not, the real core ugly truth is, as I'm about to hit the sack right now and get some daggone sleep, the fact is Russia is working against the United States and Putin is laughing at us. The little segment that they played in this video, which I didn't get to mention yet, about Putin endorsing Kamala Harris. He wants Kamala Harris to physically become the next president so that he can physically, essentially, create more rifts and division in our own country. Russia already conflicted in our democracy back in 2016. He conflicted in the 2020 election. He welcomed Donald Trump's message, which Donald Trump, they don't talk about it in this little clip, and they probably will never mention that. Donald Trump physically asked Russia or Ukraine or whomever else, I forget where the direct source is, I'm not going to say it's perfectly, it's going to be source based on what I'm showing here, but straight up asked another country to invade America's private sector to investigate Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden and whomever else that he wanted to get to try to get, illegal emails on. There are certain things that you just don't tout and flout as an American president, as a former president, having that kind of political power to say these things, and it's a disgraceful thing. I don't need a chat to prove to myself that my basis of beliefs are what they are. I know what I see in this country and what I've seen so far from Donald Trump. And when I say we got to move on from Donald Trump, enough of this far left and far right nonsense. We're either the United States of America or we're a divided nation that is not going to get any further than mass shootings, a dysfunctional heartbreak and heartache of tragedies, of divided families, mental health crisis, shootings and killings, wife-beating husbands, wife-beating boyfriends, and vice versa. Psychotic girlfriends who chop off their man's manhood, talking about Lorraine Bobbitt and a bunch of other women who've done it already. There's no better health for this country at the rate we're going with an old do-nothing Democrat, let alone a do-nothing Republican. Republicans lie and push the fear-mongering, and lately they've just been shutting up on it, quite honestly, which is refreshing. Not every Republican is the same. Even some of the old Crowley, old turtley nicknamed, senators like Mitch McConnell, and oh man, there's a list of them. But the swamp is not the swamp that many people blame Trump for, naming Trump. The swamp was already there. The mud was already in the water. The water was already there, soiling and stewing and breeding infection and filth. Our country's always been muddied with that kind of language, that kind of racism, that kind of bigotry. It's always been a part of our country. Trump is not the grandfather of the hate and bigotry in our country. He just brought it to the flames, and instead of trying to shut it down and keep it peaceful, he's only done what he can to ignore speaking out when he could, because he didn't want to let it hurt his Republican candidacy when he was president. He didn't want to get blasted by campaign donors, lose money. He was only ever interested in money. He went for where the money was. He didn't think about the little guy, the bottom 99%, the smallest of the smallest, the mom and pop shops. He cares about his own interests and his own money. Why I vote for Kamala Harris is the fact that the greatest threat we have in our country right now is not so much Donald Trump, but the people who are spreading these lies and misinformation, twisting facts, and or if they're not spreading lies and misinformation like what these gentlemen did in this video, I commend them for telling the truth about facts that Donald Trump said that were not proven to be anything criminal, including the fact, and I'm going to state this for the claim as a Kamala Harris supporter, Donald Trump did not speak words to entice an insurrection. It was not an insurrection. And I'll say that again. It was not an insurrection. The fact that the media and the Democrats, if they've even stood behind to say this, and any Republican, shame on them. What it was a violent, out-of-control riot where Donald Trump didn't do his part. He did nothing of his part, and neither did some of the Democrats in the White House at the time to really get to the issue, because they left it on Trump's shoulders. Even in the bit that I can believe that Nancy Pelosi, she's got to get up out of there. I mean, come on. She even admits in this segment, I'll say, from what I caught and what I captured, she even admitted she should have done something that day. She took full responsibility for why Capitol Police were not there. But you know what? We're past January 6th. It's in the history books. The history of the documented history will get to the truth of this. But what really matters is the present we have now and the present we leave for our kids. I'm passionate enough to believe that I don't need to be hearing about how Donald Trump's innocent. He didn't do this. He didn't do that. He didn't say this at the Capitol. He didn't insurrect the riot. He's not against, the middle class, all this other stuff. I know he's not for the middle class. If he was for the middle class, we wouldn't be in this situation. We wouldn't still be in Trump economics and Trump talk and Trump cult and this far-right extremism and this level of ignorance to just say that Trump is for women now. He'll be their protector. Ick. Ick. He's no protector. Ick. 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 He's no protector of women. Disgusting. Women have their own minds, their own freedoms, and their own free will to vote who they're going to vote for. And I honestly believe women can see through the lies of Donald Trump no differently than if there was any about Kamala Harris. She is a born leader, as a mother, as a prosecutor who fought criminals and did the right justice in her past life, and her VP pick couldn't be better. The role model of a vice president who is a father figure and who's coming into the role to step up and straight up give a positive light to a vice presidency. We can't say that a woman is what anybody in America was thinking that would be the best choice. But right now, I got to say, it's the fact of the truth, because everything you see in this entire function is not a factor of fear leading that we got to believe that, wow, there's all these crazy people that support so-and-so. It's the reality that we got to think about the reality of where we're going for our children. They'll say the same on their side, okay? They'll say that We need to be against Kamala. Trump is the hero. Trump is the Messiah. He's already announced and denounced the fact that he's a proud anti-Christian. He doesn't even represent Christian faiths. You know what's interesting? I'm demisexual. I'm LGBT. I'm a Second Amendment gun owner. I'm a furry. Okay, a furry. And I get sick and tired of seeing people misjudge people in the LGBT community, hating on those who are transgender, cis, bisexual, lesbian, pansexual, demisexual, asexual, intersexual, the whole daggone alphabet. And to think that somebody like me, who you would commonly call somebody who is not strong enough to be a patriot, not strong enough to be an outspoken individual, not strong enough to defend myself if my life is threatened, and to use a gun in a life-threatening situation if it's actual necessary need to use it, know how to sensibly use a firearm, and know how to be safe around guns. And they talk about pushing this fear-mongering that Democrats are taking our guns and they're going to rob us blind. No, Republicans aren't even doing anything about most of the gun violence because they don't want to stand up and lose money for their constituents. They just want to dill around in the white, in Congress, in the white, and when they run over and they take over whatever it's the school board or the administration or the Senate. It's a sad reality. So, the thing that I stand behind, whether or not I'm on camera saying all this, looking straight at it, I've been looking at my phone. This is what I've been looking at. Okay, the top of my phone and my camera as I say this, and that whole rally's still going. It's still going. I don't even know why Michael Jackson's face being used right now, and what they're talking about. They blasted Michael Jackson now. What does that have to do with? Oh, because she's in league with him or something? Like, this is ridiculous. I don't even know what this is. I honestly turned down her chat.
Even if it is the only testimony that is available.
Jackson gave a wave when he was released after booking.
Yeah, so
for arraignment in January.
What does Michael Jackson have to do with the future of our country? Okay, what does Michael Jackson have to do with any of that stuff? That is what I mean. Like, that's that far extremism, regardless of whatever talking point you are, that's flaunting this dangerous rhetoric. We have a threat from Russia and China. They are the greatest threat to the United States. They work against us every single day. That's not fear. That's fact. I've already posted articles about what Russia and China are responsible for that I didn't even know, that I got educated on. And once again, I'm a proud furry. I just found that out when I was about 33. I've been a furry since I was a little kid, and I didn't even know what the heck term furry meant. I didn't even know what that term was until much later. I'm passionate about the future of this country, and I stand by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, and I say that Trump needs to retire because I have the empathy to understand that his family name has been dragged enough. Kathy Griffin made a shameful part of her past history, which we don't need to be remembering the fact that she made a bloody head and put it up against the threat to Donald Trump's son. The function is that no side has been clean all these years, but we're in a different light now. We're in the present day of the future for our children and our future's future. And it's not the enemies we need to make for the road down ahead. It's the present that we need to get resolved to resolve this conflict and this distrust and this cesspit swamp that we're dealing with right now, allowing ignorance and shamefulness to continue with violence and mental health and unanswered issues for all the opioid epidemic and everything else afflicting our country, including the immigration issue that everyone seems to think that we're being flooded by immigrants. Kamala Harris is going to get it done. She doesn't just talk the talk. She went down there on the border twice so far, knowing that she's got a tough battle ahead. She is proving she's going to take this down, just like she won that debate. And she won that debate. Anybody who says that she didn't, she definitely did. Trump's comments about eating dogs, they're still talking about it even in this chat. And, it's like a nonstop thing. And there's even people saying, like, he's the only one that's the boring leader. He's the only one to be trusted. I have family members that are Trump supporters. I can't talk politics on Facebook because Facebook used to be about family and friends. Now it's turned into a political place. And even Russia, on the topic of Russia, invaded our Facebook. And Mark Zuckerberg, he's no better. Where's his stance on protecting the boundaries of our privacy and our freedom in our country? I don't want to be president, by the way, because I don't want that responsibility. I don't need more gray hairs. I'm old enough feeling as it is as an old soul, and I'm passionate about our presence and our future. If I ever got anywhere, it would be like maybe assisting the president, but that's as far as it goes. And I would still take advice from others. I would never act solely on myself, even if I thought myself wise enough. I'm too humble to sit there and think that I can lead an entire country. I'm just telling it like it is. Thank you for watching. I hope you appreciate my political truth talking point of how I feel from my belief on what's going on, because I don't hate Trump. I don't waste a second with hate on that man. And I believe a lot of people voting for Kamala Harris do not hate him because they don't waste their time with him. They've moved on. They're done with that nonsense, and they want to see a change. Just because there's one particular live stream coming from a well-known, renowned SETandKEYmedia, respect in their description, I just don't suggest you honestly fall into this spew. Nothing against them. Two well-educated African American guys who were talking facts about things that they had to disclose, and the truth that the insurrection, which is not an insurrection, okay, the lies that Trump has told out of those recent big claims that have hurt him, incredible points, those were not real claims of him actually making things to entice or incite that he wanted to overthrow the government, to destroy our democracy, to turn into a dictator. Regardless of whatever those things are, we're past that stuff. We're in the present, again, as I will stress, and your voting for a leader with competence and knowledge, that's what counts, because every person in this country needs a faithful leader they can look to, resort to, and their kids can think in class every day without the fear and concern and asking questions. As heartbreaking as it is that I've heard, kids actually ask questions about why Donald Trump said this, why he did this, why he isn't doing that. There's a fact. It's not coming from the media. Kids are geniuses. They're smart. They have well and developed minds. And you got to think about all the fact that a lot of these far-right Republicans are pushing to cancel books, crush children's dreams. They'll say they're not, but whoever did that in their generation to cancel books? That's ridiculous. To hate on a dessert because it's apparently too gay, like in my state of Florida, key lime pie. The governor Ron DeSantis. In mention to the DeSantis name, I used to have a DeSantis as my last name, and you better believe I was glad I was adopted by a woman who was lesbian and changed my last name to her family name. Just a fun fact. You better believe I am blessing every day. I can't be called that same last name. I am Mills. That's my last name, and I'm proud of that name because of my loving mother. And the fact is, I don't waste my time with hate because I wasn't raised with a woman who was raised like that either. And why I stand up and say what I'm doing in my country for this full skit is because I believe in a brighter future. I'm fighting for the stories of people who don't get told and they don't get heard, that aren't a part of the top rich percent, who aren't trust fund rich billionaires who have soiled their money and ruined their family name. Trump better just retire after this election and go take care of his family. That's all I got to say. He better just retire in peace and renounce everything and go retire. Go far away. As for everything else going on with children, what's going on against the attack of our children, their freedom and their dreams in our schools, enough is enough. A lot of these conservative people want their children to grow up bigoted. They're going to find an ugly world later down the road with children who don't got no time for that. And those kids are going to have a hard time finding a partner, a connection, or friends. It's just going to tell you that kind of whirlwind teaching on kids that they can't read certain books because they're questionable or they cross the line on religious context, or even the fact that we took the words of one nation under God out of school. It's unbelievable. But the most core important reality we must remember is that our greatest threat is Russia and China. They're working against the United States every single day. Donald Trump still has too much favoritism and love for Vladimir Putin, disrespected Zelensky. I saw there when he was there talking and ranting about how he's going to basically fix the problem, over-talking Zelensky, even though the article I saw and I uploaded said that Zelensky stops him in the middle. He didn't even really try to interrupt Trump. He just let him talk. Zelensky was very respectful. And speaking from the fact that Zelensky is a comedian who is a father and he's leading his people, I got nothing but respect for him. There is no conspiracy that Zelensky is using the United States for free money and free aid. That's ludicrous. I've heard all sorts of crazy stuff. That country is fighting with innocent women and children. There are grandmothers that are fighting in that war. I've seen articles that have inspired me to draw tears from my eyes at the fact that there are grandmas in the earlier part of the war that actually came out and had an interview, and she said specifically she was making Molotov cocktails out of gas and styrofoam to physically help fight the Russians. And the way she said it was, "Fuck those Russian dogs," or whatever she said, those Russian shits. I think she said the S word. Anyway, point is, Kamala and Waltz for the future, a better present for our children, and a hopeful future that we can inspire to, because history is on us all. It's looking at us. It's judging us. It's been judging every waking minute. We are past the hate. We are past the old talk. This isn't about hating on Donald Trump. This is about the leading for the future for our kids. I want to thank you again for watching. I'm going to cut this off, and I want to wish you all a good night, a good morning, and a good happy future. And if you want to vote for who you want to vote for, like a felon who's been convicted by a jury of 12 American citizens, that's on you. Last note I'll leave. That's on you. You want to judge, you want to vote for a felon? That's your choice. My bedtime. Yeah. Old me. It's telling me I got like an hour left. I've been staying up so late because of a narcissist I deal with every day. He's been stressing me, and he's a proud Trump supporter, from my understanding. 49 years old and proudly drank over probably 1,800 cans since he's lived with me in March. He's proud of it. He boasted about it. He made a 21 minute, 44-second rant. I actually have that rant. I can't publicly post it because it's not for everyone to see, but I had to deal with it. He's threatened me. He's poked fun at me. He calls my 9mm that I carry for my own protection a pea shooter. He's been up in my face. He's enticed me. He's had his fist clenched. He's been drunk. He's gotten up in my face more times than I can count. He's pushed and flaunted the legal degree of barriers on what I've proven. And I know mental health is a serious problem in this country, even on people who haven't fully been committed, who haven't fully done serious crimes. This tenant I deal with had already previously assaulted his last landlord, and I didn't find out until 2 months into living with him, and things just went downhill after that, as if karma was showing me the signs of how bad this guy was. But on the conscious decision of the choices I make, I say to people, vote for Kamala and Tim Walz. That's America's future president and vice president for the future of our children, for the present to the future and on. And we better hope after this presidency, we get good candidates, because that's the scariest reality. Apart from the icebergs that are dissolving, people who are dying to go see them. This is a long video, true, but just true facts. I really appreciate anybody who watched this video up to this point. I hope you realize I'm not some Republican and I'm not some Democrat. I'm an independent. I'm also a libertarian. It's not a liberal, by the way. Libertarians believe in free government, free from government control. Look it up. Thanks for watching. Philip, McLuvin for real, signing out.